This episode is brought to you by Kalona Brewing Company. If you live in Eastern Iowa, make sure to swing by Kalona Brewing Company's tap room. Amazing food and amazing craft beer. If you live in Central Iowa or in the Midwest, swing by your local supermarket and see if they carry the Kalona Brewing Company line of beer. And also swing by your local restaurants, local bars, see if they have Kalona Brewing Companies on tap. If not, make sure you guys request it. I kid you not, you won't regret that. Other than that, enjoy this episode, guys. Thank you for joining us at Beer Fish Fanatics. And this episode is actually brought to you by Whisker Seeker Tackle.
So make sure you guys go to whiskerseeker.com for all your catfishing gear.
Enjoy the episode, guys. Oh, that's funny, kid. Love it, man. All right, let's get it. Got my beer ready. I'm going to try a new beer today, Kit, so I'll show you in a second. But all right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Beer Fish Fanatics. This is Grandy with Mob Pop Fishing. We got
Kit with the Fishing Kit YouTube channel.
And today, this is going to actually just so everybody knows, this is our 100th. I couldn't even speak. 100th episode. This is kind of a special 100th episode that we somehow still survived. I don't know. People still listen to us, at least maybe a couple, but we figured who better than to have on than, somebody who's been on before. Thank you very much, Mr. Jimmy Siemens.
Thanks for having me.
Catch and Cook. No, just kidding. It's Jay Siemens. If you guys haven't seen, obviously his YouTube channel and everything, go check that out. But he's gracious enough to come back here and, and hang out with the what do we say, Kit? We're the most underground
scuffed up podcast. We're big fans of Taro. Like
Yeah.
That guy's freaking hilarious, man. Taro's awesome.
Yeah.
100. Cheers to 100. Number 100. That's impressive. I say, like a lot of podcasts, they kind of fade out. They do a couple, they realize how much work it is, and 100. What number podcast was I on last time?
You were on 19.
Oh wow! So that was towards the start.
Yeah, you gave us a shot, man, and then you came back and still giving us another shot. So that's awesome. It's awesome.
I'll do it a third time.
There we go. Love it. Quick shout out to our sponsor, Kalona Brewing Company. I'm actually trying it's called the Bulltown Brown Ale. It's a brown ale, obviously. 6.2 alcohol content on this one. I haven't tried this one, so I'm going to try this one. What do you got, Kit?
I got the Double Night Vision Belgian style ale double.
Ooh, yeah. And today, you know what? I just remembered, Jay, last time you didn't have a beer. You had previously before you jumped on, you had a shot of Fireball.
That's what it was. Okay, well, this is a fantastic beer. This is Lake of the Woods Brew Co., the only brewery in Kenora on Lake of the Woods.
Okay.
And it's called Forgotten Lake, and it's a blueberry ale. Ooh. And 7.1%.
Ooh,
and it's got a fair amount of sugar in it too. So it's the type of beer where, like one is often great. If you have a couple of these, it'll give you a headache. But they're delicious. I would say it's one of the most popular beers in town. And these guys are shipping all over the place, so it's cool.
Did they ship to the US? Did they ship to the US at all?
They have a brewery on the south end of Lake of the Woods. In Warroad, which is in Minnesota. So I'm assuming, I don't know if they ship it, but I know there's a restaurant or taps there at least. So
gotcha. Yeah. Cheers. This is definitely a good brown ale. I highly recommend it if anybody's here in Central Iowa. It's really darn good. Yeah, it's dark beer for sure.
Looks like root beer.
Yeah. But since, obviously the last time we had Jay on, a lot of things have happened. I guess everything from, we're not super scuffed up. We have better equipment. You can probably hear us a little bit better, Jay.
You guys got the green screens now. This is fantastic. Yeah, now you're seeing my messy office behind me. Yeah.
We even got sponsors. We're like, what the hell? Who the hell wants to sponsor us? That was crazy.
Everyone needs a beer sponsor.
Right? I'm not going to lie. It was probably one of the best things that's ever happened to us. So it's pretty cool, man. But you, on the other hand, you've also been a busy man. So it's kind of cool for you to jump on real quick. I know, number one, I want to say this because, I got 4 daughters. So I want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
I know you have a new baby on the way. When's the baby due?
Baby boy is due June 12th.
Ooh,
So
coming up.
It's coming up. Yeah, it's exciting. You know, I think right now I'm in like the middle of planning some trips, and I'm just like, I'm trying to leave a big buffer, but I'm like, oh, if I can't miss it. I gotta be there. But I'm just like, I don't know. I'm like, is 4 weeks safe? Because you hear stories of people having babies 4 weeks out, and you know, it's I hear the first kid is often typically on the later side, but like I haven't done any research. Sam spits out you know, birthing and pregnancy facts all the time. Like my mind is blown by some of the stuff she tells me, and I won't, you know, repeat it on the podcast. Just, but yeah, it's like I found out that I knew not very much about pregnancy, basically.
Well,
which is not something I've like researched in my spare time. So.
Don't worry, it's one of those things. There's no manual. You're gonna learn to shit on your own as you go. Trust that's, you know, from experience. But my biggest advice to give you is make sure you sleep now. Get as much sleep as you can now, because your days of sleeping in, my friend, most likely is going to be gone for the next couple of years.
I'm hoping that you know, Sam's more of a morning person, I'm more of an evening person. Hopefully there's some that works, but I don't know if that will. We'll see. I mean, Sam's gonna run the show. We know.
There you go.
You could know what's going on.
You could say all the stuff you want, but you already know who's running the show.
Oh yeah.
So do you have a name picked out yet?
We do have a name. I think I'll leave that for Sam whenever she wants. I don't know if people share it or whatever, but I think we have a name picked, so I won't
cool.
As important as 100th podcast is,
I wouldn't expect you to. No,
I won't announce it here, but I mean, my vote was Jimmy. I was saying yes to start, and she's like, Jay, you can't have a funny name, and I'm like, well, it can be funny. Jimmy's funny, and then she's like, well, then he's just going to be called James. I'm like, no, I want his name to say Jimmy on his birth certificate, on his passport to say Jimmy, but it's not going to be Jimmy. But
I'm rooting for Jimmy.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe the second one will be Jimmy.
There we go. In case anybody's wondering, because Jimmy came. It came from Taro, didn't it?
Yeah, me and Taro and Paul Castellano, when we were filming 39 Hours season 2. I don't even know. We were out for dinner or something. He just started calling me Jimmy, and it just stuck. He was just calling me Jimmy Seahawk, and it was like some character or something. But he called me Jimmy Seahawk, and then just Jimmy for short. And it hasn't stopped. And then other people are calling me Jimmy, and then he calls catch and cook Jimmy's perch powder, and people just like, man, it's so funny because like people just latch onto the stuff Taro says, like the scuffed up. He throws so much stuff. If you guys haven't heard of Taro Murata, check out his YouTube channel. He just hit 10,000 subscribers, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. He's so wacky, and he's like so good to film with, but also so bad to film with, because he talks 10 times a normal person's dialogue, and he just throws so much crap at the wall that eventually something sticks. So there's so much stuff he says, and it's like you just shake your head, and then he says something like that's just it sticks, and it's funny, and so
for sure.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because when we had him on for the second time, he was just going off the rails, walking around his house. And he was like eating the whole time too. Like, oh my God. How like, what are we going to do with this podcast?
Okay. Here's the craziest fact about Taro that nobody knows. He has a degree in psychology.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like you talk to him with the right stuff. He's got some deep thoughts, but then sometimes you're like, man, this kid is like a 5-year-old stuck in a 40-year-old's body.
That is awesome. No, huge shout out to him. No, congratulations on 10K, and then another milestone was you, man. You went over the 100K, so that was awesome.
100K, yeah, it was something that I don't know. You don't want it as much as anyone might say. Oh, it's you don't care about the numbers. It's like it's something you look at. It's right at the top of the YouTube thing, and you're always seeing the analytics when you log into YouTube. So it's like tough not to look at the numbers. And that was a number that, like, you know, that's when you get the first silver play button, and it's like it's a milestone, right? So that's something I was excited for, and now I'm not pressing refresh on it quite as much, you know. And now I'm just like, okay, we did that. It was a goal, and now it's like, what's next. But yeah.
No, that's no, huge congratulations. That's a big thing, a milestone to hit. And another thing that I saw that you did, because it's important to me, because you look like you're building a cabin up there, because you got some property. So that's kind of cool. Can you explain a little bit about that, the lodge and everything? Because I've been following you. I was talking to my wife about that. I'm like, holy shit, if he builds this, you know what, honey, we might have to make a trip. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I got my map over here. I'll show you guys. I'll give you guys a little.
Cool.
Okay.
This is my Lake of the Woods map here. So Lake of the Woods is absolutely massive. I don't know how well you can see that. So this part right here is Minnesota. That's called the Northwest Angle.
Mm-hmm.
If you look closely on a map, there's like a really weird line that's drawn there. And that's all Minnesota, except that's Manitoba, which is really weird. So that's Manitoba, that's Minnesota, and then the rest is Ontario. So like there's good fishing in Minnesota, but Ontario is where most of the good stuff is. Anyways, I live up here in Kenora, right at the top, right up there. So right in the middle, right in that area, we bought a little piece of property on an island. And it's pretty cool because you can access it from the States. You can drive up to the Northwest Angle. And it's, 20, 30 mile boat ride. You can go from Kenora, it's a 20, 30 mile boat ride. And you're kind of at a nice central location. You can fish up there. You can come down to this. Like, it's just, Lake of the Woods is massive. It's, tough to fish all of it, but this area of the lake is so good for walleyes, bass, like everything. It's just, the whole lake gets narrow there. So there's a lot of current. And so anyways, I've only lived in Kenora for a couple of years. And when we moved to town, I became buddies with my neighbor, Scott Green, who has grown up here. He works in tourism and like he does like canoe tours and all that stuff. So he knows the area as well as anybody. And he saw this piece of property come up. He bought it with another buddy named Spencer. And then they were like in the works of, oh yeah, we're gonna do this fishing camp. You should be part of it. And I was like, I don't know, maybe. And I just didn't really pay too much attention. And then one day we got together and he told me more about it. And I looked a little closer. I'm like, okay, I want to be part of this. So, I have always dreamt about owning, a little piece of Lake of the Woods. Lake of the Woods is like one of my favorite places on earth. I'm lucky to live here, but like to actually have a place out on an island, I think it'll be something cool aside from it being, a lodge and all that sort of thing. So just to backtrack a bit, the plan right now is we got this lot that's about an acre and we want to build like a cabin, a camp. In Ontario, they call them camps, but like a cabin. I think a lodge isn't the right term for it because a lodge, you picture something big with a restaurant and cooks and employees and stuff. This will be like a cabin on an island and you can take your boat to the island and we'll rent it out for, 3 days at a time, 5 days at a time, whatever it's going to be. So it'll be like an outpost camp. Eventually we want to have, this is the smaller one we're going to build this summer. We're going to hopefully break ground in like May, hopefully have it done by August. Start renting it out next year. And then probably after next year, we'll start building a bigger one. So the one right now is going to hold like 4 to 8 people sort of thing. And that's kind of the plan. It's super remote. It's not an easy place to get to in the winter because there's some like dangerous ice around there because there's current. So that adds to the the allure as well because it makes it that much more remote to get there in the winter. Even in the summer, you got to, boat in, there's no roads nearby. So, I think it'll be a cool project. And beyond that, I think it'll be like fun videos for people to follow along with. Cause I don't know, it's like the fact that you can follow along with the building and then you can go and stay there. You could, rent it and, be there for a week and see the.
It's going to be booked. It's going to be booked solid, man. I guarantee it, man. Because what are the main species that people are going to be catching in that area?
I mean, like, I think off the dock on base, it's a pretty cool spot because we're in a little pinch point and with how the lot is, we have water on each side. So one side, we have a shallow bay that has crappies, bass, probably muskies in the spring. On the other side, I bet you could catch walleyes and more bass. Like in that general area, I would say within 5 minutes of the camp, you could catch a 30-inch walleye, a 50-inch muskie, 20-inch bass, like everything. There's just everything there because it's such a fertile, good part of the lake. So, I mean, it's pretty cool. When I saw exactly where the property was, I was like, okay, I want to be part of this. It's, it's not like it's in some bad area. It's like an area where I come down to fish all the time. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Is
But
it?
I'm learning, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead. You finish.
No, I'm just learning so much about building and stuff. I'm so clueless on all that. So I told the guys, I said, I don't want to swing a hammer. I just want to film it. And you guys, I'll fly the drone.
Right. Anyways, I was gonna ask you, is it true that people get tired of catching walleyes up in your area because there's so many?
You know what the thing about walleye fishing is, like, if people only fish a couple weekends a year, they fish for walleye. That's why walleye is so popular, because they're good eating. They're in pretty much all the lakes. But I think, once people get a little more hardcore, then they like branch out and they'll musky fish and they'll do all that other stuff like bass fish. So I feel like 90% of the people walleye fish, and they don't really get sick of catching walleyes. It's a different mindset too, because some of those people will just fish until they catch their limit and then just go home, which is just like a weird deal. Like they're there to catch fish to eat and then they're done, which has never been my mindset. But there's lots of walleyes here. Yeah, like you can catch as many walleyes as your heart desires.
We don't have that here. I mean, we catch walleye, but 30-inch walleye is like, blah. I don't think that's, is it? Have you ever seen anybody catch a 30-inch walleye here, Kit?
I've heard of it, but walleyes is kind of like the bonus fish for us. Like we'll catch. I know you finally caught your first white bass through the ice recently.
Yeah, I've caught them open water, but never through the ice. But Devil's Lake, we caught some real big ones. But you guys got lots down there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a ton of white bass down here.
I think. Yeah, I just did my last video. It's all I caught was like little.
Do you eat white bass?
Yeah.
I
love it.
Sometimes.
I mean, it depends. Yeah.
You cut all the dark meat off of it?
I do if I'm not lazy. But yeah, most of the time not, because I mean I eat it pretty fresh with my kids because my kids love fried fish. So and white bass is like perfect for that when I just do when I just fillet them real quick, batter them up, and then just fry them. Yeah. But there's different ways to eat. Depending on the size of the fish too. So we make it different ways, I guess you can say, even like with wipers, hybrid striped bass. There's different ways we make to eat it too. I don't know. How about you, Kit?
I only keep the smaller white bass. So generally I don't cut out the red meat or the dark meat because, well, there's less of that stuff on the smaller fish. But typically the bigger fish I just throw back.
Yeah.
But with that said, I was wondering, since you kind of just travel all over now because you've been to Texas, South Dakota recently. Yeah. Is there any specific species that's left for you that you want to target? Oh, especially through the ice, since we're kind of in the ice season.
Like I really want to do some ice fishing in Europe. Like I have some buddies and I watch their Instagram stories and they're catching big zander through the ice. Like I think catching a big zander through the ice would be like, if you were like, hey, plan any ice fishing trip right now, I think that would be it. Because it's just like a walleye on steroids, right? They get to 40 inches and they're super cool and aggressive. I think that would be neat. Just for I love overseas travel and that sort of stuff. And I think I also think ice fishing is a little bit behind in Europe. Like in general, I feel like some techniques have like transferred over, and I feel like ice fishing is a little bit behind. Not that there isn't good anglers there, but I think it'd just be cool to, bring all of our tech there and do that in Europe and go catch a zander. But there's zanders in North Dakota too. I've been seeing some guys posting them. There's like 1 or 2 lakes that have them and people are catching them. But in North America, I'm trying to think what would be cool to do.
Have you gotten any catfish through the ice?
Like incidentals, I've seen like snagged, but not like people purposely catching them. They've been catching them on the Red River in Winnipeg a lot this year. It's crazy seeing them swimming around on live scope and they don't want to eat because they're swimming around there. Like the spots where fishing has them, but I don't know. I think just a really big lake trout. I think going super far north and doing like giant lake trout through the ice is always cool. Even though I've done it before, but just to some of those lakes that, you never see pressure. I think that's always like a cool thing to check off the list.
Yeah, are you talking like the fish that Clayton be catching, or like even bigger fish?
Even big. I mean, those are pretty much as big as they get. The ones Clayton. Okay. I mean, there are bigger, but yeah, like that's upper end. Yeah, those sorts of trips always interest me, and they're just a lot of work, especially right now with how much snow we have. It's just like getting anywhere on the ice is insane.
Yeah. Figures. But you were mentioning in regards to, the Europeans in regards to ice fishing to kind of lagging behind. But I always hear you always mention you kind of look at US fishermen and women. You say that they're better or something like that, because is it harder to catch fish up there, or the pressure just less up in Canada? I mean, what's the biggest, I guess, what's the biggest difference?
Your population density like is just ridiculous compared to where we're at. So it's like you just have to be good. The fish, first off, the fish are just, they're so pressured. There's so much more like, recreational traffic on the lake. And like up here, you'll not see a boat on the water night fishing unless it's like catfish or maybe, but you'll never see a boat out walleye fishing. When I was in Green Bay a couple summers ago, there'd be like a dozen boats launching and heading out on the water while we're pulling off. And it's like that stuff just doesn't happen in Canada the same way. Maybe if you go around Toronto to like the most populated fisheries, you'll get a taste of that. But like, man, you go to Minnesota on some of those musky lakes and there's like boats lining up to fish musky spots. There's bass lakes in Texas where it's like, one person posts a YouTube video and there's a couple hundred boats on it. And it's just like that type of stuff doesn't happen up here. Like if I could be like, hey, I don't want to see anyone today, I could pick 100 different lakes and not see a single person. Right.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just like we're so lucky because I live in a town of Kenora's 15,000 people in the winter and 45,000 in the summer. So it like blows up with all the cottagers. But when there's 15,000 people and there's not a lot of like hardcore anglers in general, there's just a lot of people that don't fish. So it's just like you're not, it just doesn't compare to a place like, Iowa, or you go to Minnesota and it's just like everybody fishes. I've heard stories of like, if you're on a good bite, you don't go back to the same spot twice because people are going to see you. If you're on like a good bluegill bite or something. And it's just like, I don't really think that way up here. It's different.
Yeah, definitely different because we, since the last time, because I listened to our previous episode we recorded with you. I wasn't even recording fishing yet, like me fishing. Now I actually record and post on my channel and with my kids and stuff. But yeah, it's so funny because fishing kid, myself, like when we record, we don't even name where we're at. Yeah. Now we got to that point because number one, we don't want to blow up, wherever the spot is at specific times or whatnot. And then number two, it's just like, man, people you're right. A lot of people they will go right to that exact spot that you were at. It's
a double-edged sword making YouTube videos too, when you're trying to, promote a fishery, right? Because it's like, I want to help these lodge owners, some of them that have been suffering the last 2 years. And, with COVID, a lot of lodges have been shut down. And it's like, you get backlash. It's like, Jay, how could you promote my honey hole? And it's like, well, I'm trying to help this business owner out with his lodge. I'm not sure, and it's just, it's always, you always get that kickback. It's like, oh, Jay, that's so great that you were in our backyard. Thanks for promoting our area. And the next person's like, oh, you wrecked this place. Now everyone's coming here. And it's like, you can't have it all. And that's just, you kind of have to not read the comments at a certain point and just like, I still understand that YouTube can be detrimental to fisheries, right? But then I feel like it's on me, it's on you to like educate people on proper fish handling and catch and release and selective harvest, like all those things. So it's like, I would rather, keep making the videos, educate people than just, not saying where I'm at. And,
very true. And we actually have we have a lot of the Iowa, Department of Natural Resources that come onto our podcast. Cool. And they actually tell us the lakes that we go to or whatnot are they over harvest? Because I see people post on social media all the time, like, oh, it's over harvest. And a lot of times they tell us, they're not, it's not over harvest. Just most of these fish, specific fish too, are put there for you to catch and take and eat. And they tell us that, and that was a thing. And I was talking to the Iowa DNR just recently. We're just like, maybe a fisherman just had a bad day, and then he sees people catching. We're like, and then he's gonna go on to social media and post like, "Damn it, quit taking all the freaking fish," and type of thing. And I think that's the biggest thing. And we just literally had a recent podcast where we haven't released yet, but we actually got a chance to meet with, what is it, about 6 different states here in the Midwest, all their fisheries like biologists. So it's kind of cool. We got a chance to really pick their minds, for like 20 minutes each person. And,
Nice.
it was pretty damn interesting to hear, what every different spot has to say about their fishery. So it was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like one of the videos I got the most kickback for in the last year, just for one specific person, was it was a lake with splake, which is a cross between a brook trout and a lake trout.
Okay.
Right. So they're beautiful fish. They get to like 25 inches. And I was just showing people how I find this lake, how I look at the stocking list. And he's like, I can't believe you did this. And I'm like those lakes that are stocked with those fish, like you said, they are our tax money is getting put to stock those lakes, and they are stocked to get fished and for people to keep the fish. And that's like another reason, like even those lakes, it's like, I feel like there's even less of an emphasis on catch and release, because those fish, a lot of them only have a lifespan of 6 or 7 years. Mm-hmm. So it's like, they're going to die and they're put there to be caught. And it's just like, it's the dynamics are always different. If you go to a crappie lake in the middle of nowhere that has 15-year-old crappies in it, well, if you spread the word on that, people are going to fill their buckets and it's going to be dead. But I feel like it's different when it's like a fish that's tough to catch, like a splake or any sort of trout. And it's like, yeah. So there's just always the dynamics, and you just try to educate people along the way. I think another thing on that topic of over harvest, and I was having this discussion with John Hoyer, who I was fishing with in North Dakota, really, really intelligent angler, like one of the best fishermen I fished with. And he just was touching on, when you get into these bigger water bodies, like the spawn in the spring is way more of a determining factor of how that fishery is going to be than angling pressure. Like it being a good spawn in the spring could create every fish laying 40,000 eggs. So it's like, you as a couple anglers are never going to put a dent in that. It depends on the lake. There's situations where you could put a dent in it, but I was just listening to his perspective on that. And he's like, man, some of these lakes are just so big, they're their own ecosystem, and you're just like a little drop in the mass of this lake and what's going on, right? So
yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is that every lake is different, every body of water is completely different, so you can't take what works here is going to work there. And I think that's the biggest thing that people forget about.
Yeah, that's like the biggest takeaway that I got from speaking to all our DNR guys, is like, if the data is there to support them changing regulations, they have no reason to change anything just because like two guys on Facebook or freaking causing a ruckus.
Yeah.
Another thing that I don't know if anybody noticed, or I've noticed, I'm pretty sure everybody has noticed. If you guys have not, follow Meat Eater. This was cool. I kind of wanted to ask you, Jay, a little bit about how you got into the Meat Eater thing and collab with Scott and everything, and how did that became about? Because I've been following that series. You're in season 2. Are you going to do season 3, or how's that coming along?
Yeah, I was having meetings about it today. So I mean, that we'll leak a little bit. Yeah, there'll likely be a season 3. So that's exciting. Yeah. So I mean, Meat Eater was something that I was a huge fan of Meat Eater, and my wife probably an even bigger fan. Like she never watched really hunting or fishing shows, and she found Meat Eater on Netflix and just like binged watch all of it. So it was cool that it was something we could watch together, and she was just right into it, and it got her more interested in hunting. She was interested in fishing, but so I remember like this spring, got an email, I think it was like in April or May, from their fish director at the time, and he was just like, hey, I've been following your stuff, and like I'd love to do some work together. So I was like, yeah, sure, like let's chat. It seemed almost like fake, because it was just someone I watched, and I was like, this is crazy, I'm a huge fan. So yeah, then it kind of the relationship started with me going to Virginia this summer for the series called Doss Boat. So this is season 3 of Doss Boat, and this is boat that travels across the states, and every stop at a different fishery, they make some tweaks and whatever. So anyways, I got to be part of that. So that kind of brought me into the Meat Eater ecosystem. And then they're like, hey, you produce your own videos. Do you want to produce a fishing series for us? And then kind of brainstorm the name Canadian Angle, kind of a play on me being a videographer and angling. So filmed the first season, and then as like the first season wasn't even done, and they're like, hey, can you do an ice fishing season and have it done in like 2 months? So I was just frantic. So I was like, that was a busy first couple months of the winter filming the season 2. And yeah, so anyways, making videos with them. I got to connect with them in Devil's Lake for one of their main like flagship show, the main meat eater show, Steven Ranella, this winter. That was the first time meeting him, because everyone thinks when you say meat eater, they think Steven Ranella, because he's the face, he's the guy that writes the books and everything, and he is meat eater. But they're just growing things out. So everyone's like, oh, so you know Steve? I'm like, I've never talked to Steve. I'd like Steve's, you know, he's a famous dude, right? He's like probably the biggest name in the hunting and fishing world. So I was like, no, I've never talked to Steve. You know, maybe I'll meet him one day. And then I got to meet him in Devil's Lake, and it was like, he was awesome. It was like, people always say that it's like, you know, you watch a person enough online, it feels like you know them by the time you meet them, and that's what it felt like with Steve. It's like, oh, I know you. I've watched so many of your videos, and so we got to share some hook sets and do some fishing together. And I got him to try catch and cook for the first time, and so that'll make an appearance on the Meat Eater episode. So that'll be season 11. Yeah, so that's where things are at right now, and it's cool to be a part of what they're doing, and yeah,
for sure,
producing videos.
So
in the past, the videos have always gone on my channel, right? So it's cool to kind of, you know, hit a different audience. The other thing about that is, like, I kind of feel like when my videos go on their channel, it's like people are there to see Steve. It's like when you're the opening band for a main musician, and it's like everyone's there to see whoever that main person is, and you're the opening band, and they might just boo you off the stage. That's what I feel like when I'm putting these videos on the Meat Eater channel, because it's like they didn't sign up for this. They want Steven Ranella. They don't, why do they want me? So, but the reception's been, I think it's been good so far, and you know, it's been fun.
You did a badass job. I loved it. I loved every episode you did for that. So just a FYI on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got to give yourself a little credit. Come on now.
So speaking of catch and cook, how is that going, man?
We are we're working on it just today. We're redesigning our bags, because I just happen to, I always have a bag sitting beside me at the office, it feels like. But if you look at this bag, this is a Canadian bag, and people are like, what is picante? Right?
Yes. What is?
And people think it's actually the flavor, and I'm like, no, that's just French. Because for your packaging in Canada, like this, you know, you need to have French on it. And because Canada is a bilingual nation, because we have a lot of French speaking people in Quebec. So everything that you do in English needs to be the same size and clarity, or whatever you want to call it, same prominence in French as in English. So that's fine, whatever, that's part of it. But now we need to redesign all of our bags, and we're doing American only bags. So we're going to have, like, you need to have different nutritional labels and all that stuff. So like, this is our original American bag. So it's got no French. You can fit way more text on it when you only have one language. So there's just, you can fit more stuff on it. So anyways, right now, our graphic designer, Carson, is redoing all of it for like USA friendly. And we're doing all the legwork to get good to go to be on retailers. You can ship online, like it's not a big deal. We've been shipping into the States, but once you're dealing with big bulk amounts and going on short store shelves, then we're going to redo our packaging for American and all that stuff, so we don't have, you know, issues at customs and all that stuff. So right now our goal is to, you know, take over the United States. That's our plan.
There you go. Oh, so, we haven't tried the spicy yet. We had the original, right, Kit? I think we ordered the original. We're gonna have to try the
original.
We're restocking. We've been out of stock for a little bit, so we're restocking like this week. So we'll send some to you guys. We'll get you the spicy and the beer batter. Oh, but yeah, no, it's been fun. We're getting into Cabela's in Canada, and then the next step is, you know, the States. I mean, Cabela's in Canada is kind of the biggest. There's another store called the Fish and Hole, which is pretty big. But I mean, yeah, getting into Cabela's, or like, I don't know what the big ones. What are the big ones around you? Like Shields or Fleet Farm or?
Fleet Farm, Shields.
Bass
we
Pro.
got a Bass Pro here, but they kind of merged with Cabela's.
Yeah,
so it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, those are our big ones. We got I think Sportsman Warehouse. I don't know if you ever heard of.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
Yep, yeah, we got them.
So yeah, that's kind of the next step, because like I said, you just, like, your amount of fishermen you have in the States is you know 100 to 1, right? So we've been happy with how things are going in Canada, but it's like I'm excited to expand into the States and see what's possible there. And yeah,
no, that's awesome. And then no, you're right. It's like I I think fishing license has grown in the past 2.5, 3 years. Obviously with the pandemic, more and more people are getting into.
I think it's 30%. I heard something like that, which is just, yeah. And people and a lot of people do like to eat their catch. Like there's still a lot of people that don't understand the concept of releasing fish. And I get that. Yeah. I think it's different when you just eat fish all the time and have fish at your disposal, then you're more likely to release them. But if you only fish a couple times a year, you want to keep your fish. I totally get that.
And we still haven't beat your, was it a 2 minutes and 7 second video? I tried, like, man, that is hard as hell.
You know what? We've had two people have filmed videos claiming they beat us, and I had to call both of them out. The first person is a notable YouTuber. He's Sobi. He's a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
Sam Sobiek. He posted a video and the clock started once the fish was at the top of the hole. And I'm like, no. We started the timer before we dropped the lure. So ours was from lure drop to fish coming in the boat to first bite of fish. And then another person the other day did the same thing. They counted the timer from when they set the hook to got it on the ice. I'm like, I don't know. It's whatever, right? One of my buddies, Austin, he sent me an iPhone clip. He was by himself at a fishing lodge in northern Manitoba, and he did legitimately beat the record by himself. Ooh. So Josh and I are going to have to beat it yet, but you need some hot oil, and it's kind of dangerous on a boat, but it's fun. Yeah.
All right. We might have to do something like that, kid. We might have to do something real quick and see if we can do it on ice. We'll record once we drop the lure, right?
I think Josh and I are going to do some sort of contest yet. I think we need to do some sort of world's fastest catch cook contest. And there's discrepancy too, because I think if you like made enough of a grand prize for it, someone would just start like eating a raw fish. They just bite the head off of it.
Oh, right. Skip the cook part, just catch it.
Yeah, exactly. Like how do you know if the fish is cooked? As soon as it hits the oil, you could just pull it out and eat it. And
that's true.
Soon people are going to be getting tapeworms. So
that defeats the point of the whole concept. But you're right. Yeah, I can see it happening though. You're right. Are you? Because I think I heard on the podcast you're on the other day. So once you have your son, are you looking to record with him while you fish?
Yeah, like I think so. I mean, was that a thought process for you, or were you like, yeah, it was just a no-brainer, I'm going to do it?
It was a no-brainer, and the reason being is I was just going to record whenever, because my thing is, okay, life is short. You never know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And my thoughts are, if I record something with my kids out, we do something, whatever the case may be, they can always go back, hey, that was me and dad. That was, I don't honestly granted, I would love the channel to blow up. It'd be great. But if my kids can just go back and watch that, hey, that shit was cool. Look what we got to do with dad. It was like, it's so much fun. That is what my end goal was.
That's cool. That's the same. I mean, my YouTube stuff is morphed, but that's kind of the reason from day one. It was like, I want to look back on these memories, and, before there were sponsors, where there was anything, it was like, and sometimes it's like, I got to get back to that. And it's like, I have a list right here of videos, like meaningful videos I want to make this summer. And I want to make one like about my grandpa, or an ode to my grandpa. My grandpa's like the reason I got into fishing. He's 88 now. And I was talking to Sam about it. It's like, I got to do it this summer, because who knows how long he can be in a boat. Like, I want him to be part of it. I want him to, tell some stories. I want to share some footage of us fishing together, or film some. So it's like, that isn't going to be a viral video, and that's fine. Like, it's a memory that I want to have, that'll be a keepsake. And so, like, yeah, I think having the keepsake for memories with my kid will be great. Some people could argue, should it go on YouTube or not? I'm like, well, if my kid, when he's old enough, he's like, you know what, I don't want to be on the videos, well, then you don't have to. I think some people say, well, I'd wait till my kid's old enough to make a decision. But there's lots of channels out there where there's families doing things. And from day one, I've always wanted my channel to be relatable, because I think sometimes videos can just very quickly not become relatable. And I think the most relatable thing on my channel is probably when Sam comes on, because she just like holds me accountable, and she doesn't pretend to be some sort of pro angler, and she's just Sam. She's just calls it as it is. So it's like, I like that relatable factor. I know other people, I think, do from comments and stuff. So it's like, if you see me struggling with a kid and trying to figure out how to parent and go fishing, and all of that, like bring it on, things are going to change. I'm not going to fish 12-hour days. I'm going to fish half an hour and then I'm going to have to change a diaper or go to shore or whatever is going to happen. But it's like, I think that's real. And I think it's a struggle, so I'll be asking you for advice shortly.
That's my world, man. No, I mean, obviously, you want to wait till they're a little older so they can go potty. But I never took them out when they were in diapers yet. So, but you're right, man. It's one of those things. Like I said, there's no manual. You just do it, man. And then my kids ended up enjoying it. And one of my daughters, my second oldest, she's like infatuated with ice fishing now. She just loves it, and she's excited when I even mentioned it. She's like, "Oh shit, yeah, let's go!" And then we got a camera, and then she's like, obviously she's meant for the camera. She just loves it and everything. So it's
How old is she?
Scotty she just turned 8. Holy cow.
Don't ask us. I don't know.
I almost butchered. Did she turn 8? No, wait, 7. Oh shit. 7. She just turned 7. Kids? I have 4. So Scotty just turned 7. My oldest, Damon, she's turning 9 in a couple weeks here. And then my third, she is 4. And then my youngest just turned 2.
Wow.
It's insane, man. You should see ask Kit. My household's insanity, Jake. I shit you not, but I wouldn't change it for the world, but I think it makes me a better person, makes me a better fisherman. Because I kid you not. I think because I have to focus on catching fish to feed them.
There you go. Yeah.
That's my excuse. I get to go fishing so I can help feed the family, man.
That's
my
good.
Thoughts. There was a question, Kit, I think you wanted to ask Jay before, we get too far in. You want to ask him if they're going to do, or?
That question's for later. I'm saving the big one for the end.
Is it about 39 hours season 3?
Maybe. But before we get there, you've been using LiveScope for the past couple of years, I'd say at least.
I think I've had it. I got it August. I've had it for I got it August of 2020. I've had it for like 2 years almost, or a year and a half.
So I want to know what your thoughts are on the LVS 34.
LVS 34. Yeah, I was just before this call, I was looking at it. It looks good. It sounds like it's clear. I mean, I don't think it's going to be revolutionary better. I think Garmin already had the best, live imaging. So if this is better, then it's just like they're furthering the gap. But I mean, it looks good. Yeah. I've had a chance to try all 3 now, and I don't even understand how it could get any better, really.
Right. Well, I think some people online, they were kind of miffed, like, oh, why? Like, this seems just to be a iteration of what was already out there. Well, if they were expecting to be able to put in perspective mode without turning the transducers, I don't know. Some people just had these expectations that they set for themselves. Yeah. I look at it as like how Garmin had the GT 54 to 56. It's like, okay, they're just iterating on that same technologies.
Yeah, like I think the fact that they're black box, it's the same black box, right? From what I've seen.
Yep.
So I think the fact that the GLS module is the same, I think it would take that module to change to really make crazy changes. But like I've said this, I've been saying this for a while, and I actually saw it show up in some iCast video. But I said I think the next generation of sonar is going to be like your overhead display, like a fighter jet. You're going to have glasses on, and when you turn, you're going to get a 3-dimensional view of what's going on. And I remember I've told this a couple buddies, and I'm like, I don't have the design, or I don't know how to do this, but I said, that is going to be the next thing. And I kept telling buddies that. And then I watched some iCast video, and there's a company that has very similar technology to that like you look and it'll actually show you the depth contour where you're looking. And can you imagine if wherever you looked, your live scope was pinging? So if you looked over here, you're looking 100 feet over there, 100 feet ahead. Like that's what's next.
That was exactly my daughter's thought. So I have the not the old, but the original Panoptics.
Yeah.
And we were just using it. And my daughter's like, hey, Dad, why can't we just like exactly what you're saying? Why can't we see like, just looking over there instead of just looking at a screen? Like that is exactly it in the glasses. I can.
Yeah.
dang, you guys are smart, man. You guys know way more than me. I'm like, honey, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But I go, and then I went back to think about it, like, holy shit, that would be revolutionary right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be like the next big step. Being able to see where a fish is too, and where a tree is in the water.
Oh yeah,
dude, that'd be insane.
it's gonna happen. It's totally. I mean, like, yeah.
Is that too far? People are saying live scope is too far now.
No, I was the question when we did a meat eater podcast when we were out in Devil's Lake, and Steve asked, he's like, so if live scope became illegal tomorrow, would you, or if live scope went away tomorrow, how would you feel? Like, would you be okay with it? And my co-host, she was like, yeah, I'd be fine with it. And I'd be like, no, I want to keep it. I like it too much. It makes you appreciate the fishing scenarios where you're not staring at a screen. Like when I'm fishing a river or sight fishing or tip up fishing or fishing super shallow and I'm not relying on it, I appreciate that a little bit more because I'm not glued to the screen. But when I'm glued to the screen and I can like pick off individual fish and tell how big they are and pull it away from some fish and cast it at others, like, I don't know. I'm a techie person, you know, I like computers, I like camera gear, I like the fishing electronics. And I also feel like if you're a techie person, it favors you to get good at those technologies, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a guy that's been fishing the Bassmaster for 30 years and this technology comes out and you're like, I don't really like using electronics. If you don't conform to it, you're not going to keep up. You're not going to win tournaments. Like you watch some of those tournaments and the guys that aren't sponsored by some of these companies, you'll see that their graphs hidden. They'll have like 2 of one brand and then like the live imaging underneath and they're like doing sneaky stuff. And like, it's just, you know, and that's just the nature of it. Like people know that the live imaging, if you don't have it, it's tough to keep up on in some of those situations. You don't need it to fish. If you're fishing competitively and fishing tournaments, yeah, it's going to give you an edge. If you're going out fun fishing, it's not going to catch you exponentially more fish. Like a flasher is going to give you exponentially more fish than, you know, nothing. Like a live scope, you learn a lot about the fish. I think if a fish comes under your cone angle, whether it's a flasher or whether it's live scope, I think if you have some sense on how to jig, you're going to catch that fish. I think live scope's good when you're like learning about, you know, why that fish is there and how the fish are moving in and just like all of that stuff. So I don't know. I like it.
Do you ever find yourself looking for stuff more than fishing? Because that's what I found myself doing. I'm like looking for structure, looking for like a cut up, a break or a brush pile and drilling 30 holes, just looking for stuff.
You know, like
just fishing.
There's some situations where like the fish won't really show up or where you kind of need to wait it out. But sometimes, like when I was in Texas live scoping, I was like, man, we just need to start fishing. We weren't seeing fish on the live scope. I'm like, we just need to start fishing. We started fishing and like didn't really catch any. And I'm like, okay, I guess we got to trust the live scope. And we kept going. And finally we saw fish on the live scope and then we started crushing them. And it's just like, the live scope doesn't lie. There are situations like I would say perch that are belly to the bottom or walleyes that are kind of like on a evening bite when they're sliding up shallow. Like you moving around isn't going to help anything. You're going to sit on that spot and you're going to watch the fish come in. Perch, sometimes you don't mark them because they're belly to the bottom. Burbot, you don't mark them because they're belly to the bottom sometimes. So there's some situations where, yeah, I think you may as well just start fishing. But if you're looking for crappies suspended, or, you know, maybe white bass suspended, I don't know how the white bass act around you, but like, then you may as well just keep drilling holes and looking at the live scope. So,
you ever caught a hybrid striped bass or a wiper through the ice yet?
Not a wiper through the ice. No, I've caught wipers actually where I was in Texas. They used to stock wipers in their one lake, and we crush those. They're fun. They fight so hard. But yeah. They don't reproduce around you, eh? They're stocked and they're sterile and they die.
Yep, pretty much. And they stock them and they get pretty decent size here. But catching through the eye, that was the thing, because I knew you were in Texas. I was like, he's coming back up. Like, man, maybe he should swing right by, because for a while there we had a decent wiper bite through the ice. What
city are you guys in?
We're in Des Moines, Central, the capital.
You're in Des Moines? Okay.
Yeah, but where we were catching was not around here. I mean, it was nearby.
You don't need to give away the spot.
We won't. But no, I was thinking, I should have hit you up, but I knew you were busy. But
Des Moines. I'm looking at the map here. Yeah, like we go through Omaha, but Des Moines isn't too far.
No,
isn't too far off.
Des Moines from Omaha is about an hour and 45 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But there's I was like, it would have been cool to get you to catch a hybrid through the ice. That would have been interesting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
We've been doing pretty good with the hybrids through the ice this season.
Yeah. This guy did really good. My buddies did good. I only caught a couple, but these guys were just on it through the ice this year.
Do they suspend, or how do they act? I feel like they would suspend and cruise around.
They don't. They cruise around, but they hug the bottom.
Really?
Yeah, they kind of follow the channels pretty much.
Yeah, he was cool. I think you guys you're jigging pretty hard this year for them, huh, Kit? Like you don't just like dead stick, or I don't know. Were you catching them on dead sticking it, or were you jigging pretty hard?
Both with spoons and dead sticking whole minnows. But man, those freaking hybrids. I told myself, like last season, all I caught all winter was basically bluegills and a few crappies. I told myself this season, no panfish. I'm not gonna target panfish. Get out of here, panfish. I mean, I love panfish if that's all I'm gonna catch. But I told myself this year I'm gonna be targeting those more predatory species like catfish, hybrid striped bass, especially the hybrid striped bass. Because
what was your biggest this winter?
Hybrid striped bass, maybe 5 pounds or something.
Nice.
But biggest catfish was, I think, just over 10 pounds.
Nice.
So not too bad. Not too bad.
No. I would have been happy with that. I didn't catch that. Must be nice.
Well, you don't go as much as I do.
True. I only got to go out. But like I said, no, it was kind of my goal this year was to really try some new bodies of water around here that I never really got a chance to. So we did that this year. And it paid off. It was pretty cool. It really paid off. And next year we got to get you down. If you come down to the States, Jay, we got to take you. I want to get you. We want to be the podcast that gets Jay Siemens
a wiper through the ice.
A wiper through the ice.
Yeah.
I think they must fight like crazy.
Oh, it's so fun. I don't know. I've never caught a lake trout through the ice, but I think
when I was catching wipers, the white bass, the guys were saying that this is like very similar to lake trout fishing, just how they act and react to the bait and stuff.
Yeah, but the wipers fight, I would say pound for pound, they fight twice as hard as the white bass does.
Really?
Yeah. They just dig and dig, go on runs. I don't know how that compares to lake trout, because all the lake trout videos I watch, man, they just go crazy. But
oh yeah, lake trout are cool.
Yeah, we'll do it. We got. I'll get in touch with you, Jay. We gotta get this. We gotta make it happen. You gotta catch a wiper through the ice. I want to see the surprise and the face smile. It'd be kind of cool.
I want to do it all. Yeah, no, that sounds fun. I had such a blast doing the white bass through the ice. My buddies were like, they were fired up because they're like, some people don't appreciate it. I'm like, I want to catch everything through the ice. You know, there's nothing below me. I want to do it all. I'd catch catfish through the ice, catch a bullhead through the ice. I don't care.
Yeah,
just do it all.
White bass are underappreciated, in my opinion. Yeah.
Hey, tell us a little bit about your trip. So if anyone, go check out Jay's channel, because you were in South Dakota. How was that? Because we have a lot of listeners up there in South Dakota.
We were in North Dakota, actually.
Or North Dakota.
We were in Devils, yeah.
Yeah. So how was that? And like, what I know what you were going after, but how was it? How was the fishing there compared to where you live?
Fishing was great. Like what blows my mind is I grew up like an hour and a half from Devil's Lake, and I never went there. It was always on my radar. The reason I wanted to go to Devil's Lake all the years is from watching some in-fisherman episodes when Doug Stange went there and hammered the white bass. Obviously the perch were popular, the walleyes were popular, but it was like the white bass fishing intrigued me because it was an hour and a half from home. They were crushing them, and it just looked like cool fishery. I hadn't been to Devil's Lake ever, so I knew the history of it, and being the flooded farmland and all that stuff. So I spent a couple days fishing with my buddy John Hoyer and a couple of his local buddies, and got to learn the lake a little bit. And then the meat eater crew rolled in, and we did a couple days. So probably the highlight for me of the entire trip was pike spearing. They do pike spearing out there. cutting the big dark sight fishing hole. And I'd never been a part of that. So it was pretty unique. And yeah, it's just a good trip. It was like, got to meet a bunch of new people, got to fish a new lake, new town. Like that's what I live for, that sort of stuff. The fishing's part of it, but it's just everything that comes along with it. Because, I've been home for a lot in the past 2 years. So it was good to do a trip to the States, and it felt like things were back to normal. So yeah, Devil's Lake is awesome. It's such a fishing town. Like that town, I think they said in the winter, there's like 150 to 200 guides on that one lake, ice fishing guides. So it's like, wow, you go to Lake Winnipeg, massive ocean of a lake, there's like 5 guides.
That's crazy. Yeah.
There might be more than that, but really it's maybe like 15 or 20, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But then you go down to Devil's Lake, there's 150. It's wild.
Yeah. It's kind of funny that you mentioned the pike spearing, huh, Kit? Because we literally, like I said, we had the fishery, the DNR from North Dakota and South Dakota. They were talking about that, Kit.
Yeah. What did they have to say about it?
It's one of those things where you have to be it's something that you should experience. It's like a cultural
it totally is. Yeah.
You have to kind of go there and see. And he sold me on it. Like, man, I really want to go check it out. And he's like, yeah, he goes, it only happens here, and everybody really, it's very important to them. It's spiritual, and it's just a cultural thing that they do up there. So it's really cool. Yeah.
No, it was good. I wouldn't want to spear a pike over 35 inches or something. Like, I feel like even 30, like anything over 35 inches would kind of probably be a cutoff for me. But like, these guys are telling stories of spearing 40-inch pike, and it's like, well, they're not even good to eat at that point. And it's like, what do you need a fish that big for? So I wouldn't be a fan of that. But I mean, like, we had the decoy, you have these wooden decoys, right? For those of you that aren't familiar with pike spearing, you have a big hole that's 4 feet by 3 feet, this giant trident, and then you've got this wooden decoy on the string, and you're just ripping it, and the decoy darts back and forth and back and forth. And like twice while we were in the shack, the pike came and ate the decoy. And then he missed it the first time, and then he speared it the second time, and it was like, wow, it's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun.
I think one of those DNR guys, I can't remember if he was from Michigan or Wisconsin, but they spear sturgeon.
Yep.
Which is super unique. Yeah, Wisconsin. Yeah. Wisconsin. I don't think outside of Wisconsin. Yeah. I don't think outside of Wisconsin, I don't think that's really a thing in other states, is it?
No, I think it's a very, like you said, cultural thing. I was just talking to one of the meat eater guys today, and he has family out in Lake Winnebago, and they do the sturgeon spearing, and they might get 1 or 2 a season sort of thing, but they got one this season. He said it was over 70 inches, the one they got this year.
Wow.
Yeah. That fish is
he said the water was so dirty that they were spearing off of the underwater cameras and not by sight. So they would wait till they saw the fish on the camera, not even visually, because the water was so dirty.
Wow.
That takes some trust in your equipment that you're pointed in the right direction. And
no, speaking of cameras, because I mean, I saw a couple of your videos and everything, because your camera is like super clear, and you can see is the water's just that much clearer up there, because at least in here in central Iowa, it's so hard to find a good clear water to get a good content in regards to camera for the fish underground.
The underwater stuff is so difficult, because you need the perfect storm, right? You need clear water, and even if you have clear water, the fish need to be shallow being like, once your camera gets to 25 feet, it's pretty dark, and then it's the time of day, right? So you can have clear water, you can have good fishing in 6 feet of water, but the problem might be is that those fish only come into 6 feet of water when the sun gets low, and then you lose your light. So like it has to be the perfect storm of everything. Like I did a perch video, the most recent one I posted, we were catching them in 6 feet of water in a crystal clear lake, and they were perch, and they feed in the middle of the day. So that was great. Pike a lot of the time, some of Clayton Schick's pike footage, it's the middle of the day when pike are eating. They're shallow and clear lakes. Lake trout, sometimes you can catch them deeper, but those lakes are super clear. So you can have visibility in 50, 60 feet of water with your underwater camera, which just isn't a thing. So it really is lake dependent. And there's a reason why, a lot of the videos, we just don't have underwater footage, because it's just not worth it. You make sacrifices too. It's like you have to kind of pick spots strategically around if you want to try to get underwater footage. So
very true.
But it's fun when it all comes together. Like, I don't know. I think from a viewing standpoint, I don't think there's anything better than, I think it's a toss up between sight fishing or underwater footage. Like for me as an angler, I think sight fishing is more fun. I don't know. The underwater, anytime you see a fish bite, it's good. Live scope's good, but seeing them bite on the underwater camera is next level. So
Yeah, I can watch underwater footage all freaking day.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I got one underwater footage video, and in Iowa, all our lakes are pretty much dingy.
Yeah.
And people are like, you should do this for every video. Like,
Yeah.
well, not every lake I go to is like this clear.
Yeah.
And this clear for Iowa is maybe 4 feet of visibility. That's clear for Iowa. Yeah, but that perch video of yours was pretty cool. There's so much fish. Like, oh my God.
It was like, I didn't know how many fish, because people always exaggerate how many fish they can't catch. Like, oh, we caught 100, we caught 150. And normally I wouldn't count or even try, but at the end of the day, when we had our bucket full of keepers between us and the other shack, we counted them and we're like, well, we had 50 keepers, and conservatively we caught 5 little ones for every keeper. So I'm like, that's 250 fish we caught between the 2 shacks. And we probably caught more, but it was just like, it was also cool to see how like the little perch would disappear and the big one would come in and just eat the bait. Like they acted very differently when you watch them on the camera. But my next video is like so much underwater footage. Same, like kind of like I said, it was 6 feet of water, a shallow prairie lake. And yeah, we got pike, we got perch, we got walleye, all underwater strikes. So it's a lot of fun.
Cool, man. My last question is, so what's in store for Jay Siemens coming up in the next, let's just say 2 years? What are you looking to do? Whether, I mean, your channel, Meat Eater, Catch and Cook, what are you looking to do, man? I'm curious because, you know, I'm a fan of yours, so I just want to know what's going through your mind. What are you looking to do in the next couple of years? Besides having the baby?
Definitely trying to be the best dad I can be. Yeah, what does that look like? I mean, Catch and Cook is always a passion project. I don't see that going anywhere. You know, stuff with Meat Eater, continue doing that. It's tough. Like YouTube favors uploading a lot of content. It favors regularity. It favors, you know, you're posting 2 times a week, once a week sort of thing. And as an artist, as you know, a creative person, I always want to I like doing the films, like the longer style format and experimenting. And, you know, I don't mind going out and filming a video and turning that half day into like a half day fishing into a video. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, you know what? I want to experiment. I don't want to just get stuck in a formula, because sometimes you see that with, you know, creators. And I try to watch non-fishing stuff too, so I don't get stuck in a rut either. Like I really don't watch that much fishing YouTube, very, very little. Just because I don't want to get stuck in that system. I know that that it happens, and a lot of my videos have similarities, but it's like, how can I do something different? How can I change it? And how can I make fishing appealing to people that don't watch fishing videos? Because I make fun of it all the time. I'm like, who wants to watch somebody fish? I always think it's funny that people are watching the videos. It's like, but like, I mean, I'm that person. I grew up watching fishing videos, right? So it's just like, I'm just, you know, it's something I'm always just trying to keep it fresh, try to figure out what's next. I don't want to just be stuck in a rut. And not that I'm in a rut, but it's just like, I like testing the waters and seeing, you know, what works, what doesn't.
I can respect that.
So yeah, I want to make videos like, I like making the longer style film videos that tell a story, and they're just, I think, that much more special to look back on, you know.
Makes sense.
When
you got anything else, Kit, for Jay?
Yeah, well, first off, I want to say thanks for coming on, Jay. You know, we really appreciate it. And congrats to all your milestones, the Meat Eater stuff, 100K, the baby.
Thank you.
And I just want to get the big elephant out of the room, because I know we're going to get a bunch of blowback if we don't ask. Next season, 39 hours. Is it happening? And when can we expect it?
I don't know if okay. Well, there isn't a 39-hour season 3. Nothing planned right now. I this might have to get edited out later. I'll talk to some other people. So this might be the end of the podcast. If you heard just it go silent right now, it's the end of the podcast.
All right.
There is a fishing competition in the works with multiple creators, and that's pretty much all I can say.
Okay.
But it will not be 39 hours, but I think it has the potential to be something pretty cool. So it's not 100% in stone, but there's the potential of a competition, and we'll have to talk before this goes online.
Okay.
But no, that's it. I think it wouldn't go up this winter anyways. It'd be something for next winter, but yeah.
I don't think you gave too much.
good.
That's a good teaser. Yeah, it's a
Just
good
a little
teaser.
bit.
Yeah, just a little teaser that it could happen. You never know. I mean,
Yeah, there might be something.
there you go.
It's better than, oh no, it ain't happened. Done. No.
But-
People know, like I will say straight up, it's not a 39 hours. Just to not to be honest. But no, I don't know. I like competition. Like, competition's good.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool. I always think it's cool bringing channels together, and because we're all in the same community and we all work together, and sometimes it feels like it might be competitive, but it's like, no, we're all doing the same thing. We're all living our dreams and doing what we like to do, and we're very blessed to do it. So yeah.
Very true. And it props to you guys. The reason why we get, or people just ask you guys this, is because that's how good 39 hours was. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
you know what I mean?
It makes me feel good. Yeah. Like season 2 is, yeah, we were really happy with how that one went. I mean, season 1 too. Yeah. And it was a lot of fun. It's like you said, it's cool memories to look back on.
Yeah.
And what I loved about 39 hours is, like, I had non-fishing friends following along on it. And that's what I was going back to, is like, how can I get people into the sport of fishing? And that cracked the code a little bit, I think, a little bit. So it's just like trying to figure that out. So
yeah. I kid you not, man. It's a big cult following, I guess you can say, but I mean, it's a huge one. And like I said, props to you guys to be able not only to capture specific moments, but just to be able to entertain and just be yourselves. You can kind of tell. You can tell everybody that was on season 1 and season 2. You guys were just everybody was themselves. There was no fluff animated or anything like that. So that, I think that was the biggest thing that at least I took from it, that it was just you guys were just honestly yourselves. So that's cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we'll see. We'll see, right? Maybe we'll see.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. But no, honestly, other than that, man, Jay, super congrats to everything that you've done.
Congrats to you guys. 100 episodes. Next time, well, I don't want to say it's going to be 1,000, because I'll probably be on before you hit 1,000, but whatever. Well, I'm sure you're on your track.
We're on the track, but you know what? I guess the big milestone is that we've never missed a week. We never missed an episode.
Crazy. Do you double up sometimes, or will you just always?
We've actually this is a crazy thing. We've actually even released a few extra episodes here and there.
Really?
Yeah, but we've never missed a week. We release every Monday, and we haven't missed a week for the last year and a half, almost 2 years now. It's almost two years now. Almost.
Yeah, 2 years.
We haven't missed a week, and then
that's wild.
Yeah, and people want more, but I'm just like, dude, I got 4 kids. It's not like I'm getting rich off this. I just drinking beer. I'm just drinking beer and just drinking beer and talking about
fishing.
Yeah, but I love it. This is the greatest part of this podcast is I get to meet people like you, but I get to meet people who can inform me and teach me how to become a better fisherman and how to really enjoy the sport and have fun with it and enjoy this part. So that's the biggest part. I get to meet people like you guys, and that's cool. That's cool to me.
That's great.
It's priceless. But no, other than that, man, congratulations on everything that you've done. And
thank you.
Keep grinding, keep doing what you're doing. We'll follow you. And other than that, man, thank you so much, Jay. Appreciate it, brother.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Cheers.